Hey everybody, thanks for taking a second to watch this video. My name is Adam Baus and I am the Director of Leadership Development here at Trained Up. I wanted to take a minute just to talk about leadership styles today, and I want to share with you the most common question I get when I'm talking to other leaders specifically about leadership style. And the question I get is some variation of this. Leaders ask me all the time, does my personality mean that I can't be a great leader? That's a question I even asked at one point in my career, just wondering if the way that I was wired and the way that I sort of see the world, was it going to limit my potential to help other people grow and to lead teams and things like this. And when I dig into this question with different people, and they have sort of different backgrounds or different stories, different ways of getting to that question, it fundamentally comes down to personality. People want to know, is my personality going to stop me from getting where I want to be, or stop me from being as effective as I need to be in my leadership role? I think there's a lot of good writing out there about leadership style, about personality. Some of the most common ones, like the Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinders, they've sort of taught us to think about personality as being sort of binary, that you're either a task-oriented person or sort of a people-oriented person. And, you know, people-oriented people, they're great with people, but task-oriented people, gosh, they struggle with understanding or empathizing or relating to other people in the workplace, where people-oriented people, they are great with people, but gosh, they struggle with some of the details and the planning and the strategy. And so people want to know, man, if this is how I'm wired, if this is what the assessment tells me, am I stuck? Is this just where it is? Do I have to figure out how to live in this gap? And here's what I say to people more often than not, because sometimes there are circumstances where I go, yeah, I do think there are some limiting factors to your potential. But more often than not, here's the case. Leadership involves tons of skills that can be developed and can be practiced over time. So if you are a task-oriented person, that's fantastic. Those are your strengths. You can lead out of that. But you are going to have to figure out how to become more relatable, figure out how to engage with people, how to practice empathy and understanding with the people that you're leading. And at the same time, the people-oriented personalities, the leaders who are much more comfortable in a one-on-one setting, coaching, encouraging, supporting, small talk, working the floor, those people are going to have to figure out how to be in the details, to understand budget implications, and to think about strategic planning and how to run an effective and efficient meeting that stays on task. See, the problem is not that we are task-oriented or people-oriented. The real challenge in leadership, especially when it comes to leadership style, is a willingness to grow, is a willingness to learn new skills and develop ourselves in the areas that are going to help us be more effective as leaders. Because here's the thing that is true about everyone in leadership. They have to be able to lead from the head and the heart. They have to be able to make logical decisions, to think rationally about what's going to serve our mission best, what's going to help us realize our vision most effectively. And at the same time, leading involves people, and people are messy. So you have to understand how to engage with people, to hear their fears, to hear their concerns, and to invest in them, encourage them, support them so that they can become all that they want to be, so they can reach their potential. And it's only when you bring together these two pieces, the head and the heart, that you actually get to a place of sustainable leadership, of healthy leadership, and teams and organizations that achieve the things that they want to achieve. Now, when I think about the leaders that I have loved the most working for, and the leaders that, gosh, I could not get out of there fast enough, it really breaks down into two ways of thinking about leadership, and two approaches, two styles of doing leadership. My favorite leaders that I think about, they were innovative, they were strategic, they had minds that could think about the business side of things in ways that naturally I'm just not wired to do myself. So I was amazed by those abilities. But these great leaders also took time to connect with me personally. They understood where I was coming from, they understood my story, what my strengths were, what my needs were, and they helped me grow and develop. They pushed me, they stretched me, they challenged me, and that made me a better teammate, a better employee. They led from both the head and the heart. On the other side of that category, when I think about the leaders that I just did not connect with, that just, it was like friction everywhere, or I didn't appreciate them, I didn't respect them, which is really challenging because I wanted to do that. More often than not, it was the leaders who came in from a purely transactional perspective, and they came in, said, here's the work that needs to be done, just do it, put your head down and go. And there was no connection, there was no relationship. And it's not that people need to have, prayer time every single morning before you start your work, and that you're having lunch together every day, and that your families are best friends. That's not what leading as a relational leader looks like. It really is about just making the person feel needed and known, that you understand who they are and where they're coming from, and making that connection. These leaders in my life, they didn't do that. They were just there, and it was all about the outcome and staying on schedule. Now, what about you? Who are your favorite leaders? Take some time and think about that. Who are the leaders that really did this well, and who are the leaders that you feel like they were just too heavily relying just on the logic or just on the feelings, and they didn't lead from both places? Because both places, the head and the heart, they're so essential to great leadership. Now, if I had to say that one personality type was more set up for success as a leader, I would really try not to, because I think everyone has the capacity, so long as you're willing to step in to discomfort and growth and challenge and self-awareness. But if I had to say that one or the other, a task-oriented person or a person-oriented, people-oriented leader, was more likely to succeed, I would put my money on the people-oriented people. And here's why. If you're a leader who wants to grow and is willing to grow, I think that it is easier for a people-oriented personality to learn project management, to think about strategy, to develop some new skills about decision-making and strategic planning, goal setting. I think those are skills, those are things that can be learned. There are people who are naturally great at them, but they can also be learned. I think it's easier for a people-oriented personality to develop those skills than it is for someone who is a task-oriented person to develop the skills of empathy, of understanding, to become a coach, to become an encourager. It can be done. Absolutely, it can be done. Those are skills, and there are ways that have been proven over time that you can develop more of a relational leadership style to go along with your task personality. But I think it's easier to go from personality and moving more towards task than it is be in a task and move towards personality. But again, for me, leadership style matters. It's really important. I really want somebody who can lead from the head and the heart. But the most important factor in leadership, I really don't think it's leadership style. Leadership style is crucial. But I think it's actually more important that a leader is willing to be uncomfortable, that they recognize where their gaps are, and they do one of two things. They either spend time developing themselves, shoring up those weaknesses, and becoming a stronger, more well-rounded leader who is both head and heart, task and people, or they're building a team around themselves that help come up and shore up some of those weaknesses. You have someone who is a strong executor, someone who is going to push the speed, they're going to push the boundaries, they're going to set massive goals. They're going to need to hire someone who comes in and is more integrating, who is bringing in the people side of things and developing a more rounded team so that culturally your organization is meeting all of the needs, the intellectual, the emotional, the relational. All of these different things are being met by the team. But the best leaders, the best organizations, they do both. They take time to develop personally, they spend time being uncomfortable, they ask for feedback, and they grow themselves. They try to become more well-rounded in both the head and the heart, while at the same time building a team and investing in a culture that values both sides of the equation. If you want to get where you're going, if you want to lead people from here to there, which is what leadership is, if you want to do that in the best, healthiest, most effective, most efficient way, the most sustainable way, is to do it both with the head and the heart, is to be a transformational leader who understands that setting high expectations isn't enough, that you also have to encourage and develop and empower people along the path toward your destination. Now, tomorrow I'm going to send you an assessment. And it's very simple, straightforward, 11 or 12 questions. You'll circle some options, and then it's going to help you figure out where you fall on a spectrum of leadership styles. This isn't task versus personality. This is looking at the difference between transactional leadership, inspirational leadership, and transformational leadership. It's a quick assessment. It'll take you 5 minutes to do it, and then you can spend some time looking at it and figuring out, okay, where do I need to grow? How do I develop into a more well-rounded leader who both recognizes and understands the emotional and the logical needs of my team? How can I lead from a healthier, more sustainable place? Thanks for taking a few minutes to watch this video. I really appreciate it. Feel free to share with anybody else that you think might benefit from this. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.